Welcome to my One Punch Man rant. Season 3 just started and a lot of debate started as well, and I just felt like it was the right time to talk about one of my favorite manga, One Punch Man. I'll give my opinion on season 3 as well, but since it's not finished, I'm not gonna go into too much details just yet. I just want to take you on a journey. I've been reading mangas since I was 6 years old, and I'm not even kidding. I mean, a family member was reading them with me to help me because at 6 years old I could not read that well. Long story short, I was really into many shonen. It was my favorite genre for a long time, but becoming a boomer and all, I started to be kind of fatigued with the entire genre. And I want to rant a little bit about shonen subgenre because I'm not necessarily talking about shonen as a whole. I was mostly tired of the neketsu genre, young protagonist that grows and evolves, lots of fights, the focus is definitely on the action, you kind of know how it's going to end, but it doesn't matter because you're here for the spectacle. A prime example would be Naruto, Dragon Ball, or Bleach, or Senseiya, Kenshin, Inuyasha, Hunter x Hunter, Shaman King, Kyo, I read all of that and I liked all of that. Especially, it's really hard to choose. Anyway, my point is I was getting tired of it. I don't know, like I said, if it's you get older and you're kind of tired of seeing the same thing over and over. I don't know if it's because of my attention span and I could no longer enjoy reading 50 chapters of one fight, even if it's epic. It's just like, let's just skip to the end. I don't know. But my point is that I still enjoyed other type of shonen, like the romance/comedy, from good stuff like Love Hina, Video Girl Ai, Ranma, to trash like Rent a Girlfriend. I'm also still a big fan of hobbies-focused type of shonen, like about sports or food or, I don't know, with good stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Hikaru no Go, Yakitate Japan, Slam Dunk, and iShield 21. Anyone knows this one? Yes, let's go back to One Punch Man. Because yes, Murata. When One Punch Man came out, I thought, okay, this is another shonen neketsu. I'm not gonna be too much into it. It looked like it was about superheroes. I loved iShield 21, so I was very curious about the next manga Murata would make, but I didn't want to jump right into it. Like I said, I was fatigued by the entire genre, the predictability and how long it would go on and on and on with fighting scenes. But then I heard something. I heard One Punch Man is actually a parody of the entire neketsu shonen genre. It's making fun of all the tropes. It's not taking seriously. And the art style is very funny. Like, it's sometimes super serious and detailed and sometimes very simple. And it's part of a comedy. And the main character also do not look like the typical shonen protagonist with crazy hair like Yugi, This one is a caped baldy. So I tried the anime. And I remember I watched the first episode. And I was glued. I loved it so much. I hadn't laughed and enjoyed an anime in such a long time. Maybe like a couple of years at that point. I don't remember. It was almost 10 years ago. I remember watching episode 1 and episode 2, and I loved it so much that I stopped watching and I went to the closest library to pick up the first 2 volumes. I was hooked. I loved it. I was a big fan. Just 2 episodes and 2 books. And to this day, I probably rewatched season 1 and 2, I don't know, maybe 3 times, but I rewatched a few episodes here and there, up to 10 times, I don't know. But yeah, from start to finish, at least 3 times, maybe more. Now, let me explain why I love it so much, why I was hooked. I think you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. Like I said, I was tired of the entire genre, and I hear about this manga that makes fun of it, but not in a malicious way. It's more like it's playing with it. And here's the thing, comedy. It is just so funny. It is a great parody. It is making fun of the tropes, but it's not mocking them. It's playing with them. It subverts our expectations, and it seems just fresh. Instead of making me dislike, this type of shonen, it actually reignited my love for them. And that's the thing. I don't know if one, the original author of a series, hates shonen, but I highly doubt it. And Murata definitely does not hate it. And in a way, I feel like this is just a love letter to the genre, trying to make something fresh, playing with it, making fun of it, because they're in on the joke. They like the genre. So sometimes I see people saying, it starts to lean in too much into the action and it's losing the core of the manga. And I agree, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it has the potential to be a bad thing. And I will be honest, I'm up to date in both the webcomic and the manga. And at some point I lost interest. It was too long for me. It started to feel much more like, I don't know, Bleach or Senseiya, where it's just like fights after fights, but they take too long and I'm kind of losing interest. Because Saitama as a character, we all know the story, I'm not gonna explain it, but he has the potential to be a deus ex machina and nothing else. And that can be the worst thing, because then you're like, well, it doesn't matter what happens if the other heroes are struggling or they're winning. We all know they will not die, because Saitama's gonna jump in anyway and destroy everyone. So the stakes are low. But here's the thing, and the genius of one, in my opinion, is that this is what happens in most action mangas anyway. It doesn't matter if they have a strong character or not. You know that the good guys are going to win, and it's not about the outcome, it's about the journey. And so with having a character godlike like Saitama, I feel like it plays with this trope even more. And so at first it wasn't an issue for me. But yes, like I said, at some point I lost interest, but I kept going, kept reading, and no spoiler. No, zero spoilers here, okay? But all I will say is that I read the last webcomic chapters and it is hype. It is great. It is amazing. I absolutely love it. And I think the story is really good. It may not be like Full Alchemist levels of complexity and, I don't know, richness, but it is very, very solid, very strong. I really love it, and I cannot wait for Murata to adapt it, and then in 75 years maybe we can see the anime adaptation. But let's have hope, okay? But like I said, even if it starts to be more actiony and a bit less comedy, a bit less sarcasm and dry humor making fun of the entire genre and the tropes, I think it is still solid. I think it does a very good job at being on the verge of both worlds, satisfying people like me who were mostly here for the parody due to some tiredness of the entire genre, and some people who are here for the spectacle and the action parts. And remember, it is published in Jump, so no way in hell it was ever going to make fun of shonen. Like, for real, it was not going to be a criticism. It was always going to be a fun parody. And so I can put up with how slow some chapters are when it's just fights after fights after fights for two reasons. First reason is that the comedy is still there, the characters are cool and interesting, and the panels and the anime, especially season 1, is just great. Like, the action is good. You get hooked, even if you're usually like me, like kind of bored when it's just fight after fights. The spectacle is so good, you kind of still get pulled in, like I know I did. Yes, I got tired, I got bored a few times, but it is so dynamic. The art style is great, and like I said, comedy is still there, characters are interesting, so at the end of the day, I still like One Punch Man. And to be honest, I was scared at some point, maybe a year ago, that it would really lean on the shonen pure direction just because of the magazine. Editors being like, we need more action, we need more fan service to stay on top. Like, this is very common, and I was scared it would be more like that and less faithful to the webcomic. But with recent chapters and after all the rewrites and everything, I think Murata gets it. I think we're going in the right direction and I cannot wait for more story because honestly, I'm mostly here for the story, for the characters and the resolution of everything, the mystery, because there's a lot of mystery, more like lore related about God and different factions and even Genos' story with the cyborg, which honestly was so funny. Like the first time he told his story, like, man, I love this manga, like the way they play with tropes. It's just, you have to see it for yourself if you haven't, but if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, this is just a rant to say why I love One Punch Man and how it is not about mocking the shonen genre. It is not about rewriting the wheel and making fun of it and criticizing it. The way I see it, it was just a way to create a refreshing shonen with a different protagonist, a different antagonist, and really like this concept of Deus Ex Machina explored to the max and making it be part of a comedy. It's like very self-aware and it's still good, still entertaining. So I really think it was not an easy thing to do, and I think those two guys, One and Murata, they did it. Is it the best manga ever? Is it my favorite? Honestly, close, but nah, I still like Dorohedoro more, and if you haven't seen my video about it, just read this manga. Dorohedoro is amazing. But yeah, okay. One Punch Man. I still love One Punch Man, and I think I explained why I love it so much. Now, about season 3. And before that, let me say something. A lot of people criticize season 2, and honestly, I don't have the eye for like knowing if something is good or bad in terms of animation. I will be honest. I mean, I came to this conclusion because I watched season 1 and season 2 back to back, and I didn't notice a drop in quality. And I know a lot of people said season 2 was terrible, but I didn't see it. Like, I'm not trying to defending, I just didn't the first time I watched. But I rewatched it, and yes, I can see how some moments are less animated, less dynamic, and there is definitely some cutting corners, but it is nowhere near as noticeable as season 3. And this is what I'm going to say about season 3. Is it terrible? Depends what metric you use. Is it bad? No. I cannot lie, I'm excited for every new episode. I enjoy it. I'm not bothered by it. But I also have to say something. I'm usually not someone who cares too much about the quality of animation. Some animes that I really like purposefully have a style where the animation is very, very minimal. And I still like it. And I'm not bothered by it. So, you know, my standards when it comes to animation are not very, very high. And if you've seen the things that I've done here, you understand where I'm coming from. I'm someone who tries to make dynamic drawings. I will never say I'm trying to make animations because it's not. I don't have the skills. But I understand the struggle. And I'm not very picky is what I'm trying to say. However, I have seen some cope because it's always like that on the internet. You have one side saying this thing is terrible, and you have another side saying they are wrong. This thing is a masterpiece, best thing ever. And I think both are kind of exaggerated. Like the truth is usually in the middle somewhere. And I think the truth with One Punch Man, and like I said, I've seen a lot of cope of people saying, nah, season 3 is great, the animation is beautiful. It's like, no, you are coping. You can say you love it, you're entertained, I feel the same way, but the animation is just nowhere near as good as it was in season 1 and season 2. You have a lot of still frames, and they definitely cut corners. Sometimes you don't have any background, and sometimes having no background is purposeful, it conveys something, and sometimes it's kind of random. It's like, yeah, you could have put a background there, you know? And I can think of 3 reasons why the animation would be so poor. The first one is lack of skills. Second one is lack of resources. And third one is lack of time. No way in hell it's about skills. So we can remove that theory, which leaves us with option 2 and 3, which is lack of resources and lack of time. And I do think it's one of those or both of those. They had to cut corners, and I feel for the animators because I see what they do. I focus a lot. Like I said, I don't have the eye for animation, but I have the eye for trying to make a still frame more dynamic. And here's the thing, One Punch Man Season 3 is a great adaptation of the manga in a literal sense. And by that I mean that the animation will use techniques that you use in the manga form to create movement. But here's the issue. You do this in a manga because you cannot animate the pages. But in an anime, you usually use different techniques. You're not gonna use lines or movement like in the hands and, like things like that you do to make something look like it's moving. In the anime version, you will animate this usually. But in the season 3, at least so far, they use the same techniques you use in a manga when there's no animation, because obviously. And so yeah, I think it is scope to say the animation is great. You can say you like it, you think it's good and it's the style you want because you want something that looks more like a manga that is dynamic. But objectively speaking, this style of animation is not what most people would consider like good animation. It is lazy, but in the way I use lazy, I don't mean that these people are lazy. I'm saying that they don't animate many things. They don't make multiple frames for something. And we've all seen the Garo sliding off the hill. It's a very funny example. And when I saw that, I just laughed. I was not pissed. I was not mad. I was like, yeah, okay. And that's why, in my opinion, it is fine to criticize the animation and hope that it's gonna get better and more dynamic, more traditional, in the sense of it's not gonna replicate the technique you use in a manga when you don't have animation, and be more like what you usually do for animation, which is draw multiple frames or use a software. I don't know. Me personally, I don't mind. I can still enjoy it. Like I said, I watch some anime where the animation is purposefully very minimal. It's just the style. It's like frame by frame, and I still think it's fun and good. But I can also be impressed when the animation is crazy, 60 FPS and stuff. And for One Punch Man, yeah, I do hope that we have something more traditional. And by that I mean less still images and more animations and more frames, please, because yes, it's funny, yes, I love it, but I think it deserves a quality animation like the first season and the second season, because the manga is already amazing. The panels Murata draws, they are so dynamic, you can feel the movement already. So I feel like when it comes to anime format, we should do something different. We should have crazy, passionate animation, super creative, like season 1. But anyway, that was it for this video, but I will definitely review season 3 and give my opinion on the state of the animation. Hopefully it gets better. But honestly, regardless, so far I like season 3 and I cannot wait for more because it's gonna be so epic. I just hope they don't drop the project entirely. I want them to go as far as possible and finish it. I really hope. Fingers crossed. Anyway, thanks for watching and maybe see you another time. Bye.